They call to hearken in for mercy, but they are not your savior. They call to Shahalood for the great quaking, but he is not your savior. They call my visions into question, and ask Zendaya to shed desert tears, but she is not your savior. They ask to be fed when they are dying, and for a prophet to lead them, and yet I appear.
Greetings and salutations. Today we're talking about Dune Part 2, which is the second installment from the novel series adapted from Brian and Frank Herbert, which is now written and directed by Denis Villeneuve. But beyond this, here's your spoiler warning for all those who haven't seen Dune or Dune Part 2. Why are you here? At this point, it's already on streaming services by the time I upload this video. Wait.
Oh.
We're...
Oh.
What?
Hello.
No. We're doing this?
Yeah.
It looks like we're doing this. So, here is a speedy recap. Overpowered government seeks to take control of resources on a densely populated planet filled with people they view as pests among the prize. That sounds awfully familiar. But hey, Arrakis is under new management, the Emperor decided to put the good white people in charge, and rumors say it's the second coming, but it's really just colonialism. But guess what? It's all set up to fail. But there are no Spice Girlies, just intense religion, godly worms, and rebellion. Aquaman is dead, Miguel O'Hara gets clapped, all cheeks out, and Mama Atreides is currently pregnant while drinking her own tears. Meanwhile, Paul is getting hit with his first round of wet dreams, premonitions, and body catching. Well, not like that. Yet. So now we're stuck with the last of the Duke's family as they traverse through this godforsaken sand planet, and they go on to make their way to the Fremen as rumors spread that the savior is here. There is a grander plan behind it all, and the people playing the game, or at least controlling the game, are known as the Bene Gesserit. Their whole point is to influence and scheme and basically put things in place to lead humanity into an enlightened path. But it's looking a little bit more towards religious genocide. Seems we've caught up with Dune 2, so let's talk about that. I don't know about the rest of you guys, but I loved the first movie. Minus the L'Oreal stills of Zendaya and Timothy that were displayed throughout the film, and this will vary film to film, but I don't necessarily mind when a story decides to put action and the plot on the back burner. Listen, I'm here for the world building and taking the time to attune your character to the story that is set before them. As for this movie though, I think it's alright. I'm not in love nor am I swooned by Dune Part 2 in any means. I don't even think it's the best movie of the year. I think we have plenty of titles before we even get to that point. But fine. We will talk about the positives of the film. This movie directly takes place after the first one, which is where Paul and Jessica are traveling with the Fremen. While everyone else in the galaxy is preying on this man's downfall, our boy comes back like it's the return of the king. Compared to the previous movie, this pacing picks up a lot more, and I mean a lot. Even though what we're seeing on screen is visually stunning, we're also focusing on the content, which is largely the romance, becoming Fremen, and also pushing us to the third movie in the span of 3 hours. Paul Atreides sucked for a hot minute, and even though the transformation was abrupt, it did him wonders. It's illustrated pretty well, and as the audience who initially gets painted the picture, like some of the visions he's having during this time, I felt like now we're all in the same boat, on the same plane as the characters that are in the movie. You're not really sure what this kid is seeing, but you really want to hope for the best because there has to be something that made him go from, I only care about the Fremens, no, I won't go south, that'll kill him, but I only care about them and Johnny, because we're both in a relationship in case anyone didn't know. Just to shift to, freak the planet, freak the people, freak the galaxy, all of you turned against my papa and killed the rest of us. I don't care about you, I don't care about you, I don't care about you. You're gonna become my concubine. Anyway, I'm collecting more respectable young women like it's Pokemon, and I'm taking over the galaxy as I put my papa's ring, and I remember to lead the rest of them into paradise. I'll say this though, there are not enough films that like to play around with rich colors. Yes, it's a visual masterpiece. You see shots of Timothy like walking through the sand mist where the wind is putting his cloak to work 10 times throughout the movie, and it never gets old. The special effects also don't scream understaffed and underpaid. In fact, it is quite literally the opposite. Most, if not all of the acting in this production matches the quality that is being put out. My faves in the movie is largely given to Rebecca Ferguson's character and Javier Bardem's character. Both have sold me on the concept of this film and are wonderful talents to see on screen. I'm not gonna lie to you, I experienced a lot of emotions while I was watching this film and even exceeded some of the expectations I wasn't even aware that I had. The movie perfectly encapsulates the feeling that you get from the movie. It is absolutely perfectly synced with the intense crusades and as well as the emotional moments that are had between characters. I also just enjoy Dune as a concept and it has certain signatures that I love that it separates itself from other franchises. I love that we're getting more of the Bene Gesserit. Even though it's clear that they've lost control of the needle, you can still see weaves of the plot still being spun. This is a pretty good film, especially if you're trying to use it as a great example for what a sci-fi film should be, and trying to get as close to a whole new world as you can get. However, there's a few things within the narrative that seems a little off to me, and I feel like as soon as I mention them, you might realize it too. Let me big brain this. A lot of people are just awash with the production value of this film. This story, for me, largely falls flat on its head because it doesn't make that smooth transition from knowing the world to this is what we're playing with right now. I spent a large portion of this film going, when did we get here? Because the pacing, as I said, it is a lot faster than the original one, but is the equivalent of riding a sandworm. Firstly, the relationship between Paul and Chani is drier than the humidity in the air that is between them. Chemistry is the equivalent of baking soda and vinegar mixed together, and it looks like it should be doing something, but it's giving me nothing. When I watch their interviews, they have the chemistry. Why am I not seeing it in this film? Mind you, this is the person Paul dreams about and quite literally manifests within one movie, and also stabs him at some point, but 2 scenes together and they're all of a sudden a forever couple. Chani is a warrior, and the Fremen at the very least are mistrustful of outsiders for good reason. And while she is a fundamentalist and denies the prophecy to the very end that she sees actualized in front of her, however, 15 minutes into the movie, she sees Paul like maybe once or twice and she's like, ooh, I'm gonna say something a little crazy. And I genuinely, truly have nothing against the actress, so fans, please spare me. Zendaya honestly brings me out of the movie so much because I've seen these characters before, and here it is less convincing. You cannot tell me these 3 characters are not the same. But scenes with her feels like an extended cameo that wasn't necessarily supposed to be a large part of the movie, but it's Zendaya. We paid $13 million for her to even simply breathe in the film. And let me be clear, she is by no means a bad actress. The ending scene of this movie where she's riding off on the sandworm and separates herself from Paul, that was pretty good. She really does have moments where she shines, and I've seen her perform a lot better in other productions, but sadly, I don't believe the same lie I've been told twice before. That, and I'm not even really sure what Chani likes about Paul. What is it about him that is just so alluring? Paul is so boring. This expired jar of mayonnaise is spending most of his time wanting to fly above his station and then wanting to explore the world before him, but doesn't know much of that world. He's just fine with people telling him what he should and should be doing. And then on top of that, he's also good at fighting. He just feels bland, and I know that people will argue that that's the intended purpose because he is literally perfected by the Bene Gesserit. It just didn't work for me, so it didn't work. And yes, the story reflects that he is like a desert mouse, an unassuming survivor of his circumstances and the weird predicaments he's put in, but I'm just tired of him for a good chunk of the film. I wish we got more out of the villains. Who are we leading to paradise, Paul? Spirits? I don't even know who these people are. I just wish we had more development beyond the one house that we focused on, which got completely slaughtered and ended up doing nothing in this movie except bathe in squid excrement and play with Barbie dolls. I wish we saw more of the political inner workings of what was going on behind the scenes when everyone turned their back on the Duke. The one villain that we got and hyped up this entire trailer and movie around literally got in a ring with Paul for 2 minutes and died. Yes, we got a little bit of a sperm donor scene with an inner sequence with the Bene Gesserit, but why did we give him so much screen time? Pennywise sounding Hellraiser needs to go back to the Forever 21 mannequins that he was with. It's reminiscent of the Palpatine and Snoke situation, and I go purposely out of my way to not be reminded of that. But these are just a couple things that didn't necessarily land with me in Dune 2, and why I don't necessarily call it a masterpiece. Yes, it is still an enjoyable experience, and yes, I still had a great time watching it, but I still prefer Dune 1 a lot more. I rate this film 7 sandworms out of 12 TimotheeChalamets. But have you guys seen Dune Part 2? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Comment down below along with your theories and inquiries, and I'll respond to them as soon as possible. You can also follow my social media in the links down below because fun stuff happens there sometimes. But anyway, I hope you guys have a lovely day, and I will see you guys on the flip side. Bye. The things I do for content, I will be posting for another month.